I've got your energy stories for the second week of June 2023, and it appears as if North American automakers are consolidating behind a single charging standard, and it's Tesla's. Jumping in just behind Ford, GM just announced a tie-up with Tesla and its charging network, and drivers will have access to 12,000 Tesla superchargers as early as 2024. Beginning in 2025, GM will integrate to Tesla's North American charging standard, NACS, with having that in its new EVs with a customized charging port facilitating direct access. The NACS will be the default port with adapters created for drivers of NACS-enabled vehicles to allow them to continue accessing CCS-capable fast charge stations. When queried by the Associated Press last week whether they would embrace this evolving strategy, spokespersons from Kia, Nissan, and Toyota had no comment. Hyundai indicated it would continue to evaluate the technology. VW said it's committed to the CCS standard. It owns fast charge outfit Electrify America, while Stellantis indicated it's still developing a response. Analyst Wood Mackenzie reported that the solar industry posted very strong numbers in Q1 of this year at 6.1 gigawatts of capacity, up 47% over Q1 of last year. Nearly 236 gigawatts of new solar capacity is anticipated in the next 5 years, nearly tripling the current installed capacity of 142 gigawatts as of the end of 2022. Woodmac also reported that U.S. solar supply chain is beginning to grow, with 20 gigawatts of announced domestic solar cell manufacturing facilities in the U.S. that will eventually feed into 60 gigawatts of operational, under construction, or announced module manufacturing facilities in the U.S. to date. Well, when those panels reach end of life, we'll need to do something with them. And Ørsted is partnering with solar recycling startup SolarCycle to process and recycle used crystalline silicon modules from its US-based projects, enhancing an existing recycling agreement to cover thin film modules that was signed with First Solar in 2021. Ørsted indicates it's already recycled 4,000 of those panels. This new approach to crystal silicon is needed. Today, under 10% of all spent solar modules are recycled in the US. SolarCycle first tests panels for potential reuse before they are broken apart and recycled. If they do go the latter route, the company separates the aluminum frame and junction box, delaminates the glass, and shreds the remaining panel, with materials being processed to separate plastics and metals such as silver and copper. The company claims to be able to recycle 95% of the value from solar panels. Recycling is not cheap. Costs are around $20 to $30 per panel versus landfilling at $1 or perhaps somewhat higher. Well, the 800 megawatt Vineyard Wind project off Massachusetts is now pounding pilings offshore, with commissioning expected in late 2023. But the orderly progress of planned East Coast projects behind it has been greatly disrupted by supply chain issues. First, South Coast Wind and Commonwealth Wind recently backed out of commitments, citing rising costs. And last week, regulatory filings in New York showed that 4 developers there wish to revisit agreements owing to that same issue. These include the Equinor and BP-backed Empire Wind 1 and 2 projects, totaling 2,100 megawatts, and Beacon Wind at 1,230 megawatts, as well as Sunrise Wind at 880. The California Institute of Technology, Caltech, announced last week it has succeeded in moving solar power through a microwave beam from its satellite in space to both other targets in space as well as to a detector here on planet Earth. In space, the team transmitted enough power over about a foot to a receiver with sufficient strength to light up an LED light. It also transmitted 200 milliwatts of juice that was detected by a receiver on the roof of the engineering lab at Caltech's campus in Pasadena, with the received signal appearing at the expected time and frequency, and the right frequency shift as predicted based on its travel from orbit in space. And finally, back here on Earth, Exxon announced a deal with Nucor to capture, transport, and store up to 800,000 metric tons per year of CO2 from Nucor's direct reduced iron plant in Convent, Louisiana. Exxon has now announced 3 such agreements in the past 7 months, with industrial gas company Linde and fertilizer manufacturer CF Industries bringing total CO2 volumes to 5 million metric tons per annum. Well, that's all for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week.